At the end of part 2, Sheng Nan and Lu Jin's relationship begins to bloom, but they face challenges from work and family. On the other hand, Ziqian is jealous because he likes Sheng Nan too, and Lu Jin's mother, Lady Hong, doesn't approve of their relationship. When Lu Jin has to leave suddenly for important business, Sheng Nan deals with personal problems alone, like Bao Gui getting sick and worrying about hospital bills. At the end, she meets Lu Jin's younger brother, Lu Zheng, who really likes her cooking, hinting that more interesting events are coming in their lives. In the morning, Sheng Nan woke up early to buy fresh ingredients for her food stall. After that, she headed to her job at the hotel. One day, her friend La Ba asked about Bao Gui's health. He knew Bao Gui wasn't well and offered some money to help. Sheng Nan tried to refuse, but La Ba insisted. His kindness moved her to tears. During this time, Sheng Nan got messages from Lu Jin. He told her about what he was up to and asked how she was doing. She didn't want him to worry, so she acted like everything was fine and didn't mention her troubles. After finishing work at the hotel, she went to her food stall and started cooking for customers. She worked hard every day, and time seemed to fly by. One evening, a customer at her stall complained about finding a hair in her food. But Sheng Nan knew it wasn't true cause the customer just didn't want to pay. Just then, Lu Jing stepped in to help. He told the customer that if she didn't pay, he'd call the police. The customer quickly paid and left. Grateful, Sheng Nan thanked Lu Zheng and offered to cook him a meal. Sheng Nan's days were exhausting. She worked at the hotel in the morning, ran her food stall in the evening, and visited Bao Gui at the hospital after closing up. One night, she received a call from a nurse. The nurse said she needed to pay the hospital bill before Bao Gui's surgery the next day. Just as she was worrying about how to get the money, Lady Hong walked in unexpectedly. Surprised to see her, Sheng Nan asked why she was there. Soon after, Lady Hong visited Bao Gui at the hospital. She asked him not to involve Lu Jin in any of his troubles and gave him a card offering assistance. She felt sorry for Sheng Nan's difficult situation, but explained why she didn't approve of Sheng Nan and Lu Jin being together. Lady Hong believed that their relationship was making Lu Jin weak and could interfere with his important work. Upon hearing that, Sheng Nan was confused and hurt. She thought about how big Lu Jin's company was and wondered how she could possibly cause any problems for it. She loved Lu Jin deeply and didn't want to be the reason for any loss. Lady Hong then asked if Lu Jin would be happy if he lost his company and his job because of their relationship. She told a story about a king who gave up his entire kingdom for love, suggesting that Lu Jin might do the same. She mentioned that Lu Jin was away on important business and warned that if Sheng Nan told him about Bao Gui's condition, he would drop everything and come back immediately, abandoning his work. To prove her point, Lady Hong called Lu Jin and told him she was with Sheng Nan. She handed the phone to Sheng Nan, giving her the chance to say anything she wanted. Lu Jin apologized for not replying to her messages, explaining that he was very busy. Fighting back tears, Sheng Nan told him to focus on his work and not to worry about her. After the call, Sheng Nan rushed to Bao Gui's room. There, she met Ziqian, who offered to help pay the hospital bills. Grateful but determined, Sheng Nan promised that she would repay the money as soon as she could. After visiting Bao Gui in the hospital, Sheng Nan and Ziqian left his room feeling happy. Seeing them together brought joy to Bao Gui. Later on, Grandpa met with Zhao Di and Quan in his room. Then, they began to discuss who would be the best partner for Sheng Nan. Zhao Di believed that Ziqian was the right choice because he was always there for her, especially during Bao Gui's illness. On the other hand, Quan thought that Lu Jin was better since Sheng Nan loved him deeply. Time went by, and Grandpa's surgery was a success, making everyone relieved and cheerful. Meanwhile, at his office, Lu Jin finished all his tasks and announced that he would be returning home the next day. However, Li Man informed him about another important assignment that would take an extra day. Lu Jin agreed to stay, and since the team had worked hard, they decided to go out for dinner together. Li Man chose to stay behind to complete some important work on her laptop. Later that evening, Li Man received a call on Lu Jin's phone from Sheng Nan. Sheng Nan began to share everything that had happened during Lu Jin's absence. Shortly after, Li Man interrupted, telling her that Lu Jin was busy and offered to pass along any important messages. Feeling a bit discouraged, Sheng Nan simply asked for Lu Jin to call her back and ended the call. Afterward, Li Man deleted the call history from Lu Jin's phone, so he wouldn't know that Sheng Nan had called. Meanwhile, Sheng Nan walked home, thinking about Lu Jin and missing him. The next morning, Ziqian arrived to pick her up so they could visit Bao Guo at the hospital. He asked if Lu Jin was aware of Bao Guo's condition, and Sheng Nan replied that she hadn't told him. When they reached the hospital, Grandpa sent Sheng Nan off to take care of some errands, while Ziqian stayed to look after him. On the other hand, Lu Jin just finished all his work. Then, Li Man took him to the place where they first met, hoping to remind him of the good times they shared back then. She told him about a day when they worked late into the night and wanted to have dinner, but couldn't find any open restaurants. Because of that, Li Man decided to learn how to cook at an international school so that after working hard, they could at least enjoy a good meal together. Lu Jin thanked her for her efforts. At the hospital, Bao Guo thanked Ziqian for taking care of him. He asked Ziqian if he had a girlfriend and suggested that he consider Sheng Nan. However, Ziqian politely declined, saying that love cannot be forced and that Sheng Nan liked someone else. Bao Guo then recalled that Sheng Nan's parents fell in love at first sight, but their relationship didn't last and they eventually divorced. He concluded that relationships should not be based solely on first impressions. Later, while serving drinks to Lu Jin, Li Man revealed that he probably liked Sheng Nan because she was young. She mentioned that if she were younger, maybe she would have had a chance with him. At that time, Li Man regretted not expressing her feelings when they were younger. There, Lu Jin told her that he would pretend this conversation never happened because she had been drinking and then he left. But Li Man continued to drink more. After some time, Li Man called Lu Jin and asked him to bring her a towel. Lu Jin agreed and said he would leave the towel at her door. He also told her that they would always be good friends and colleagues, nothing more. A tipsy Li Man then admitted that she hadn't told Lu Jin about Sheng Nan's call and had deleted it from his phone. This made Lu Jin even more upset. Meanwhile, Sheng Nan thanked Ziqian for helping her during this difficult time. Ziqian gently hinted that he wanted to be there for her in the future as well. But Sheng Nan told him she planned to repay the money he had lent her soon. Soon after, Lu Jin arrived at the hospital and hugged Sheng Nan. She hugged him back, but then pulled away, remembering her conversation with Lady Hong. Lu Jin was upset that she hadn't told him about Bao Guo's condition and that she had tried to handle everything on her own. Then, Sheng Nan mentioned that Ziqian had helped her, and Lu Jin offered to repay Ziqian himself. However, Sheng Nan refused his help. Lu Jin tried to talk to her, but she wasn't willing to listen. Gently, he picked her up and carried her to his car to drive her home. He apologized again and began to suspect that his mother might have influenced how Sheng Nan was acting. At the same time, Quan visited Bao Guo at the hospital. He spoke kindly about Lu Jin, suggesting that he was probably busy and that's why he hadn't come to see Bao Guo yet. Just then, Quan got a call from Lu Jin asking to meet up. When they met, Lu Jin asked about Sheng Nan's behavior and why he hadn't been told about Bao Guo's condition. Quan explained that Sheng Nan cared about him very much and didn't want to distract him from his work. Upon hearing that, Lu Jin felt uneasy and blamed himself for not knowing. Since Bao Guo was Sheng Nan's main concern right now, Quan suggested that Lu Jin focus on helping Bao Guo. Lu Jin thanked him for the advice and left. After their phone conversation, Quan met Sheng Nan at her shop. Feeling unsure, Sheng Nan asked him if she wasn't a good match for Lu Jin. With a teasing smile, Quan jokingly suggested that maybe they should break up then. At that time, Sheng Nan hesitated but then admitted that perhaps they weren't such a bad couple after all. Quan asked if she still loved Lu Jin and explained why Lu Jin preferred her over Li Man. Hearing this made Sheng Nan's face light up with happiness. Meanwhile, Lady Hong saw Lu Jin leaving the house with a suitcase. She stopped him and asked where he was going. Lu Jin said he was going to take care of someone for a few days. Lady Hong denied knowing anything about it, but Lu Jin began to suspect that his mother might have been unkind to Sheng Nan. He told her that no matter what, his feelings for Sheng Nan would never change. There, Lady Hong warned him that such feelings could weaken him and affect his career. Elsewhere, Bao found a note from Zi Qian apologizing for breaking his promise and saying that Sheng Nan would find someone better than him. Zi Qian also left a note for Sheng Nan, telling her that he was moving abroad to continue his studies. Not long after, Lu Jin arrived at his grandfather's hospital room carrying lots of things and some soup. When his grandfather realized that Lu Jin hadn't made the soup himself, he told him to set it aside. To teach Lu Jin a lesson, he had him help with some chores around the room. In the next room, Ming Ting was talking with his wife about the company's problems and his worries about their son's lack of interest in the family business. Later that day, Lu Jin went to Baoguo's restaurant and found Sheng Nan busy working. He offered to send 2 chefs from his hotel to help out, but Sheng Nan turned down his offer. Wanting to assist her anyway, Lu Jin decided to help with the cooking and serving himself. But then, Sheng Nan teased him, saying he'd probably give up in 10 minutes. Determined, Lu Jin started working from peeling potatoes to serving customers. But Lu Jin wasn't very experienced. He held the potato peeler upside down and wondered why the potatoes weren't getting peeled. At that time, Sheng Nan couldn't help but laugh and showed him the right way to hold it. Unfortunately, his service skills weren't great, and many customers left the restaurant. Lu Jin cleaned up the leftover food and tidied the tables. Surprised to see no customers, Sheng Nan asked where everyone had gone. There, Lu Jin admitted that since it was already 1 a.m., there wouldn't be many customers. He also suggested that maybe his poor service had caused them to leave. He told her how he had tried hard from opening bottles and serving people, but things didn't go well. Hearing this, Sheng Nan couldn't stop laughing. Lu Jin then asked if she would go on a date with him in 2 days. Sheng Nan playfully agreed, but only if he could bring in customers within 1 hour. Accepting the challenge, he called his assistant and asked him to send some people to the restaurant quickly. Soon after, his assistant, Xin Jie, sent all of Lu Jin's bodyguards to act as customers. When the bodyguards arrived, their serious appearance stood out. Lu Jin quickly called his assistant again, asking if they could at least change into regular clothes. To keep Sheng Nan from getting suspicious, Lu Jin told her that the customers might be employees working late at some company. Sheng Nan agreed and added that their boss must be very strict. She promised to cook them delicious food. Since the bodyguards weren't used to acting like regular customers, they sat stiffly like robots. Lu Jin had to quietly give them instructions to act naturally, so Sheng Nan wouldn't notice anything unusual. The next day, Sheng Nan's aunt visited Baoguo in the hospital. She remembered how Lu Jin had helped Sheng Nan at the food stall the night before and commented that they looked adorable together. Later, Baoguo asked Lu Jin to come to his hospital room. He inquired about how many employees worked at Lu Jin's hotel. Lu Jin replied, almost 10,000 people. Soon after, Baoguo explained that with so many people depending on him, and with his mother having high hopes for him, Lu Jin couldn't run away from his responsibilities. He also shared his thoughts about relationships. He said that when one person is tired, the other should support them so they don't lead a distracted life. Baoguo mentioned that since he'd been hospitalized, Sheng Nan had been working very hard from juggling her hotel job, the tavern, and taking care of him, leaving her no time for herself. But ever since Lu Jin returned, she seemed much happier and loved him so much that she wouldn't give up on him. This made Lu Jin very happy, and he assured Baoguo that he would take good care of Sheng Nan. Baoguo then tried the soup that Lu Jin had prepared. Finding it delicious, he smiled and gave his approval of their relationship. Meanwhile, Xinjie cooked hot pot for Zhao Di. She reminisced about how, as a child, she used to see hot pot on TV and wished she could try it. But since her family didn't have much money, they couldn't afford to eat at restaurants. When her mother tried to make hot pot at home, it didn't turn out well. Now, as an adult, she appreciated how tasty hot pot could be. Moved by the gesture, Zhao Di showed her gratitude and affection towards Xinjie. Elsewhere, Lu Jin took Sheng Nan to an old building. He told her that he had bought the land and showed her a painting he had made for her. Handing her a paintbrush, he suggested that she paint on the wall to help relieve stress. Together, they started painting on the wall and even playfully painted on each other, enjoying their time together. Later on, Sheng Nan and Lu Jin went shopping for clothes. While trying on outfits, Sheng Nan decided to try on a wedding dress. She looked so beautiful that Lu Jin was completely amazed. Feeling overwhelmed, he suddenly left, saying he had something to take care of. Confused by his reaction, Sheng Nan talked to her friend Quan about what happened. She wondered why Lu Jin acted that way. There, Quan teased her, suggesting that maybe Lu Jin thought she was trying to rush him into marriage and might even break up with her. Shortly after, Sheng Nan hugged Quan goodbye and went home to think about it. Meanwhile, Lu Jin couldn't stop thinking about how stunning Sheng Nan looked in the wedding dress. The next day, Quan took Sheng Nan shopping again and helped her pick out a beautiful dress for a party they were going to attend. Just before they entered the party hall, Quan surprised her by revealing that Lu Jin was waiting for her inside. When they arrived, Sheng Nan saw Lu Jin finishing a speech. He invited her to join him on stage. To her astonishment, Lu Jin introduced Sheng Nan as his fiancée. Lady Hong, Lu Jin's mother, was very surprised by this announcement. Later, Lady Hong called her son and asked why he had done this. Lu Jin told her that being with Sheng Nan made him very happy, and he knew that his mother wanted to see him happy too. At the party, Sheng Nan met Lu Zheng and was surprised to learn that he was Lu Jin's brother since they seemed so different. There, Lu Zheng explained that Lu Jin had been raised with a lot of responsibility from a young age. Meanwhile, Lu Jin saw his father, Ming Ting, outside. Lu Jin hesitated, but his father simply asked him not to buy his company and then left. On the way home, Sheng Nan couldn't stop talking about how interesting Lu Zheng was, which made Lu Jin feel a bit upset. She also mentioned that Lu Jin's father had arranged a special room for Bao Guo at the hospital. Lu Jin asked her not to interact with Lu Zheng anymore. After coming home, Lu Jin was angry with Sheng Nan and decided to ignore her. But Sheng Nan didn't give up. She kept trying to get his attention. Finally, Lu Jin picked her up and carried her to the bedroom. Feeling nervous, she apologized. Shortly after, Lu Jin asked her to stay away from his brother, Lu Zheng. Hearing that, Sheng Nan agreed, but then started playfully teasing him again before running off. The next day, Xinjie planned a romantic surprise for Zhao Di at his office. He prepared a special bouquet made of hot pot ingredients. In front of everyone, he proposed to her. However, Zhao Di left without giving him an answer. Later, when Xinjie arrived at the restaurant, he was upset and cried because he felt rejected. He thought that Zhao Di might believe their future together wasn't promising since he was just an assistant at work. Meanwhile, Sheng Nan received a call from Lady Hong asking to meet. At that time, Lady Hong took her to some fields and showed her the fresh vegetables she grew. She explained that whenever Lu Jin came home, she cooked meals using these garden vegetables so he could eat fresh food. Lady Hong compared Sheng Nan's cooking to fast food. Sheng Nan defended herself, saying she always used fresh vegetables in her dishes. When Lu Jin returned home, he found Sheng Nan lying in bed with a high fever. Even though he insisted, she refused to see a doctor. Lu Jin wondered how she could have become sick since she was fine that morning. Sheng Nan told him about her meeting with his mother and recalled how Lady Hong had challenged her to pull weeds from the garden if she truly cared for Lu Jin, and then left. After returning from the garden, Sheng Nan was found pulling up vegetable plants along with the weeds. Lady Hong noticed this and criticized her, pointing out that as a chef, she should know the difference between weeds and actual plants. Sheng Nan defended herself by saying that weeds are also living things. Watching their exchange, Lu Jin couldn't help but smile. Later, feeling unwell, Sheng Nan asked Lu Jin for some canned fruit. He advised her that it wasn't healthy to eat in her condition, but she insisted it was all she wanted. Determined to help, Lu Jin tried to prepare it and realized how challenging cooking could be. He served her the canned fruit, and even though she couldn't taste anything due to her illness, she finished it. Soon after, Sheng Nan asked Lu Jin to stay by her side that night. When she woke up in the middle of the night, she saw him busy with his office work. Feeling sorry, she apologized for making him take care of her while also handling his work. She then fell asleep on the sofa near him. The next day, Sheng Nan met Quan. He asked if she and Lu Jin had spent the night together. Sheng Nan explained that they had slept in the same bed, but that nothing had happened. There, Quan sarcastically remarked that Lu Jin was quite the gentleman. At that time, Sheng Nan wanted to do something special for Lu Jin, so she asked Quan for advice. Then, they came up with the idea of sending him a homemade meal to show her affection. Carefully packing the food, Sheng Nan went to Lu Jin's office while he was preparing for a meeting. When she arrived, she showed Lu Jin the meal she had prepared. However, Lu Jin told her that he was too busy with meetings and wouldn't have time to spend with her. Determined to support him, Sheng Nan insisted on joining one of his meetings. Sitting quietly at a distance, Sheng Nan watched as Lu Jin conducted the meeting. She noticed how serious and strict he was with his staff. Later, she met up with Quan again and expressed how impressed she was with Lu Jin's leadership skills during the board meeting. During the meeting, they had discussed the possibility of the minting group getting a new buyer. If that happened, Lu Jin wouldn't be able to acquire his father's company as he had planned. To counter this, he decided to travel to Thailand to meet Jenny, the daughter of a wine group owner. He hoped that by making a deal with her, he could weaken the Minong company financially. He also asked Li Man to find out more about the other potential buyers. This is the end of part 3. The moral lesson from this series is if you're trying to impress your crush, make sure you don't accidentally uproot his mom's garden. Also, surprising your busy boyfriend at work might just get you a front row seat to his stressful meetings.